Daf Yomi, Tractate Horayot, page 11a, top of the page, with the words Hudla. Hudla tzare tzarinu, ve'ela tzira dikrate ben ami, amar le al tisirum ve'al titgaber bam klal afilu tzare la. We're talking about in the cases of Lot, I think. Right, the older daughter, let's see here, we were talking about, the case of Lot's two daughters when they had relations with their father. The older daughter calls him Moab. It wasn't euphemistic, it was direct. The elder daughter calls him Moab, allusion to the fact that her child was born from her own father. And the verse 1 said to Moses, "Be not enmity with Moab, neither contend with them in battle." From this it may be inferred, it is in battle that one may not contend with them, but it is permitted to harass them. Okay, while concerning the offspring of the younger daughter, who called her son Ben Ami, the son of my people, avoiding any direct mention of the baby's father, God said to Moses, "Neither harass them nor contend with them." Deuteronomy 20:19. At all, even to harass them is not permitted. Okay. Amar Rabbi bar Avin, Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ben Kaka, Le'oim yagdim od le'devar mitzvah shevizchar laila, achat shekadma b'chila tzira, zachsa ukadmata arba doires le'malchus. Rabbi bar Avin says that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha says, a person should always be first to perform a matter of a mitzvah, as in reward for one night that the elder daughter preceded the younger daughter, she merited and preceded her to royalty by 4 generations. Ruth the Moabite, ancestor of King David, descended from her son Moab, and she preceded Naamah the Ammonite, who was married to King Solomon by 4 generations. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan, Me'am haaretz prat l'Mashiach, Me'am haaretz prat l'Nasi. The sages taught in a Braita, the verse states, "And if one soul from among the common people sins unwittingly in performing one of the mitzvot of God that may not be done, and he is guilty," Leviticus 4:27. The phrase "from among the common people" serves to exclude the anointed priest. The phrase "from among the common people" also serves to exclude the king. Ve'halo kvar yatzu Mashiach lidon mipal, nasi lidon misarim, Shiach u'Mashiach al he'elem, davar im shigat maseh mevipal, al shigat maseh lechodeh mevi, kizba u'seira, Talmud lomar me'am haaretz prat l'Mashiach, me'am haaretz prat l'Nasi. The Braita continues, but weren't these individuals already excluded from bringing a ewe or a female goat as a sin offering? As an anointed priest is subject to atonement with a bull, and a king is subject to atonement with a male goat, why then is an additional exclusionary derivation necessary? The Braita answers, the derivation is necessary as one might have thought that an anointed priest brings a bull for absence of awareness of the matter together with the unwitting performance of an action, but that he brings a ewe or a female goat, as does a non-priest, for the unwitting performance of an action alone. Therefore, the verse states, "From among the common people," which serves to exclude the anointed priest, who is completely exempt from bringing a sin offering for an unwitting transgression unless it was committed on the basis of his own erroneous ruling. The Braita continues, the phrase "from among the common people" serves to exclude the king. Tinach Mashiach el Nasi v'shigat masehu d'maiseh. The Gemara challenge is granted in the case of an anointed priest, it is clear why an additional exclusionary derivation is necessary. But in the case of a king, it is for the unwitting performance of an action that he brings a goat as his offering. Why then is the additional derivation necessary? Amaraz vid, mishmei rave, ha'chabamayas hinan, kigoin shachul kazayas chelev, keshehu hedyot, v'nitmana achar kach nodalo, salgadait zachamina. Neite, kizba osira, kamash malon. Hanicha la Rabbi Shimon dazut batari yediyah, ela banan de azlu, in brackets de azli, vazechata my iklamema. Razvid said in the name of Rava, what are we dealing with here? We are dealing with a case when one unwittingly ate an olive bulk of forbidden fat when he was a commoner, and he was then appointed king, and thereafter his transgression became known to him. It could enter your mind to say, let him bring a ewe or a female goat, because he performed the transgression before he became king. Therefore, the verse teaches us that he brings a male goat as he is now a king. The Gemara challenges. This works out well according to Rabbi Shimon, who follows the time of knowledge and holds that one brings the offering on the basis of his status at the time when his transgression became known to him. But according to the rabbis, who follow the time of the performance of the sin, what can be said? שאכל חצי כזית חלב כשהוא הדיוט ונתמנה והשלימו ואחר כך נודע לו סל כדאיתך אמינה נצטרף ונהייתה כזבח או שעירה כמשמע להן. Rather, as Vid said in the name of Rava, what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with a case where one unwittingly ate half an olive bulk of forbidden fat when he was a commoner and he was then appointed king, and then he finished eating the olive bulk of forbidden fat, and thereafter became known to him that he had eaten forbidden fat. It could enter your mind to say, let the two halves combine and let him bring a ewe or a female goat. Therefore, the verse teaches us that the status of a king is not like that of a commoner. Since a king brings a special offering, the half olive bulk that he ate before becoming king does not combine with the half olive bulk that he ate as a king. I don't understand how a commoner can become a king. Kings only are from royal lineage, from Davidic line. How can a commoner become a king? Alright, whatever. But by Minay, Rav Nachman, Nesiud Ma'oshe Tifsik, Hachana Echidami, Kigon Shachim Chatzi Kazai, Chelev, Kishu Hedyot. Doesn't make sense. Kishu Hedyot, V'nismana, V'yavad V'shlimo, Hasamhu. Maybe a kid of a Davidic line is called a Hedyot. Maybe if you're just a teenager, he's considered a Hedyot. That's what they probably say. Nismana v'yavar hishlimo hasamhu telo mitztaref ach lepalgik shehu Hedyot upalgik shehu nasi aval achali dividi geshu Hedyot ach mitztaref odil shnamai. Rava raises a dilemma before Rav Nachman. With regard to kingship, what is the halacha? Does it interpose between two parts of a transgression and prevent them from combining? What are the circumstances? It is a case where one unwittingly ate half an olive bulk of forbidden fat when he was a commoner, and he was then appointed king, and then was removed from his position, and then finished eating the olive bulk of forbidden fat. Perhaps it is there, in the previous case, that the two actions do not combine, as he ate half when he was a commoner and half when he was a king. Again, it just keeps, how does a commoner become a king? It doesn't happen. This kind of reminds me of Rosh Hashanah when it says they vote in a king. They never voted in kings. So what's going on here? These are all hypotheticals that can never have happened and never will happen. Okay, but here, where he ate both this half and that half when he was a commoner, they combined. Or perhaps it is no different, and once he was appointed king and his status changed, the two actions do not combine. What is the halacha? Mishumad lav bar asoye atoye korbanu. Hi bar atoye korbanu. The Gemara suggests resolve this dilemma from that which Ula says, or Yochanan says, that one ate forbidden fat and designated an offering for his unwitting sin, and he became an apostate, and then retracted his apostasy. Since he was disqualified from bringing the offering as an apostate, he shall remain disqualified from bringing an offering for that sin. The Gemara rejects this. How can these cases be compared? An apostate is ineligible as far as bringing an offering of any kind is concerned. This king is eligible with regard to bringing an offering, albeit of a different time. Rabbi Zera raised a dilemma for a sheshet. If one ate meat when he was a commoner, and there was uncertainty as to whether or not it was forbidden fat, and subsequently he was appointed king, and his uncertainty became known to him, what is the halacha? According to the rabbis who follow the time of the actual transgression, do not raise the dilemma, as in their opinion, he is liable to bring a provisional guilt offering. Rather, when you raise the dilemma, it is according to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, who follows the time of awareness of the transgression. Midi ishtani levadai, ishtani lesafik, oy dilma, ki ishtani levadai, di ishtani korban didei, aval hachad lo ishtani korban didei, emalai tiyasham talui, teiku. Is the halacha that from the fact that his status changed with regard to a definite transgression, as if he was liable to bring a sin offering, and his sin offering became known to him after his coronation, he is completely exempt. It may be derived that this status changed with regard to an uncertain transgression as well. And he is exempt from bringing a provisional guilt offering. I'm looking throughout Jewish history, and there's no time when this would apply. In the times of the kings, if they were wicked, they wouldn't do it. After the destruction of the temple, there's no more kings, and Mashiach time there's only one king. These cases never can happen. That's what a little bit, I think, was exhausting for me. Is that I'm reading stuff that is just, it's not even theoretical, that it's like whatever. Anyway, I'll continue. It's theoretical, I guess. In a case where Jewish history wouldn't be this way, then this could be. Or perhaps when his status changed, it was with regard to definite transgression only. As in that case, his offering changed. As the king brings a goat as a sin offering, why does he bring a goat anyway? As a sin offering instead of a ewe or female goat. But here, in the case of an uncertain transgression, as his offering does not change, say, let him bring a provisional guilt offering. The Gemara concludes the dilemma shall stand unresolved. I'm not sure what number take this is, but God willing we'll get here. In order to complete the project of Tekus. Let the dilemma shall stand unresolved. The sages taught. The verse states, and if one soul from among the common people sins unwittingly in performing one of the mitzvah of God that may not be done, he is guilty. Leviticus 4:27. This serves to exclude an apostate. When an apostate sins unwittingly, he is exempt from liability to bring a sin offering, even if he repents for that sin, as even his unwitting action is considered intentional. Okay. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yossi Omer Mishum Rabbi Shimon Asher lo tiasena b'shgaga v'Hashem Hashem bidato meviko b'nashkigato lo shad b'yediato ela meviko b'nashkigato. The writer continues. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yossi says, in the name of Rabbi Shimon, it is unnecessary to derive this halakha from that phrase, as it says in the same verse, if any one of the common people sins unwittingly in performing one of the mitzvot of God that may not be done, and he is guilty, or if his sin which he has sinned be known to him. Leviticus 4:27-28. From the words, be known to him, it is inferred that only one who repents due to his awareness, meaning who would not have sinned had he known that the act was forbidden, brings an offering for his unwitting transgression and achieves atonement in this way. But one who does not repent due to his awareness that he sinned, for example, an apostate who would sin even after becoming aware that the act is forbidden, does not bring an offering for his unwitting action. Amar Rabbi Hamnuna Meshuma Lechol Chelev Ubemikol Adam Ika Benaihu Marsavar Kevan Meshuma Lechol Chelev Ledam Nami Meshua Have Umarsavar Ledam Miha Shabidato Hu. Okay. The Gemara asks, what is the practical difference between the opinions of the rabbis and Rabbi Shimon concerning whether the halakha is derived from the earlier or latter verse? Rabbi Hamnuna said the difference between them is in the case of an apostate with regard to eating forbidden fat. They disagree as to whether or not he brings an offering for unwittingly consuming blood. One sage, meaning the rabbis, holds, since he is an apostate with regard to eating forbidden fat, he is also considered an apostate with regard to consuming blood. And one sage, Rabbi Shimon, holds, with regard to consuming blood in an event, he is one who repents due to his awareness, and he is not considered an apostate with regard to blood. ונתחלף לו בשומן ואכלו כמפלגי. מר סבר כיוון דתיאבון אכל במזיד משומד הוא, ומר סבר כיוון דאילו אשכח דהתרא לא אכל דאיסורא לאו משומד הוא. The Gemara asks, but didn't Rav say that everyone agrees that an apostate with regard to eating forbidden fat is not considered an apostate with regard to consuming blood? The Gemara answers, rather, here it is with regard to a person who eats forbidden fat and an animal carcass due to appetite. For example, only when he does not have access to kosher meat, and forbidden fat became confused for that person with permitted fat, and he ate the forbidden fat. It is in that case that the rabbis and Rabbi Shimon disagree. One sage, the rabbis, holds, since he intentionally eats forbidden fat due to appetite, he is an apostate. And one sage, Rabbi Shimon, holds, since if he finds food that is permitted, he does not eat food that is prohibited. As he merely seeks to satiate his appetite, he is not an apostate. Tanu Rabbanan achal chelev, zehu mishumad, ve'ezehu mishumad. Achal nevelos and treifos, katzim u'masim, b'shas hayayin, nesech, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, afal v'shkilayim, amar mar achal chelev, zehu mishumad, ve'ezehu mishumad, ochel nevelos, kule. My comment. The sages taught one who ate forbidden fat is an apostate. And who is an apostate? It's one who ate animal carcasses or animals with wounds that will cause them to die within 12 months. Repugnant creatures or creeping animals and one who drank wine used for libation and idol worship. Rabbi Yehuda says this applies even to one who wears garments fashioned in diverse kinds, containing wool and linen. The Gemara analyzes this price. The master said one who ate forbidden fat is an apostate. And who's an apostate? It is one who ate animal carcasses. The Gemara asks, what is he saying? Why, after answering the question, does the Tana ask who is an apostate and then provide a different answer? Amar Rabba Baba Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Hachi Kamar, Achal Chela V'Teavon, Hareza Meshumad, L'Hachis, Hareza Min, Ve'ezem Meshumad Shebistamo Min, Have Omel, Ochan Aveh Trefa Shkatzim, L'Masim, V'Shasiyai Nesech, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Afalo V'Shklein. Rabba Bar Chana said, to Rabbi Yochanan said, this is what he's saying. If one ate forbidden fat due to appetite, he is an apostate. If he ate to express insolence, this person is a heretic. And which is the apostate who is presumptive heretic merely on the basis of his actions? You must say that as one who eats an animal carcass or a tray for repugnant creatures or creeping animals, and one who drank wine used for elevation in idol worship, based on the fact that he violated serious transgressions for which one has no appetite, such as repugnant creatures or creeping animals. It is clear that he is a heretic who denies the Torah in its entirety. Rabbi Yossi, son of Rabbi Yehuda, says this applies even to one who wears garments fashioned in different kinds, containing wool and linen. My benayu, benayu, klaim, derabanan, mar savar midarai sahab mishubad, derabanan al mishubad, mar savar klaim, given mifarsim, isure afilu midaban mishubad. The Gemara asks, what is the practical difference between the opinion of rabbis? Yossi, son of Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara answers the difference between them is in the case of one who wears a garment of different kinds, containing wool and linen prohibited by rabbinic law. One sage rabbis holds one who violates a prohibition by Torah law is an apostate, one who violates a prohibition by rabbinic law is not an apostate. One sage, Rabbi Yossi, holds with regard to different kinds, since his violation of the prohibition is well known, as people see that he is wearing that garment, even though he violates a prohibition by rabbinic law, he is an apostate. Okay? Fine. See here, how much do we have left? כל האויב ואיזר מייסי אכל פירוש אחד או יתוש אחד הראש אחד יתוש אחד הרי זה משומד והאחד להכסו וכגר אלה משומד התמד המעטום תם דיסור. Rav Acha and Ravina disagree with regard to this matter. One said if one violated a prohibition due to appetite or convenience, he is an apostate, while one who eats to express insolence is a heretic. And one said one who violates a prohibition to express insolence is also an apostate. Rather, who is a heretic? It is anyone who engages in idol worship. The Gemara raises an objection to the first opinion from a Braita. If a person ate one flea or one mosquito, this person is an apostate. But here, isn't it a case where it is a violation performed to express insolence, as one has no desire to eat these insects, and yet the Talmud calls him an apostate? The Gemara answers, the reference here in that Braita is, the reference there in that Braita is to the case of one who eats the flea due to appetite. As he says, I shall taste the flavor of prohibition. He seeks to eat a food that he has never eaten before. I would hardly call that an appetite, but okay. Avezu nasi zemelech kulo. Tanu Rabbana nasi yachol nasi yeshevet kanach shemen minadav tamid lo memikon mitzvot hashem elokav le'alan hu omer leman yilmad li'irad hashem elokav. The Mishnah teaches who is the nasi. This is a king, as it is stated. When a nasi sins and performs any one of all the mitzvot, of the Lord his God, that shall not be performed unwittingly, and he is guilty. Leviticus 4:22, referring to one who has only the Lord his God over him and no other authority. The sages taught. The verse states, Nafsi, one might have thought that the reference is to the prince of a tribe like Nachshon ben Aminadab. Therefore the verse states, and performed any one of all the mitzvot of the Lord his God. Later in the passage with regard to the king, the verse states that he may learn to fear the Lord his God. Deuteronomy 17:19. This concludes side A, and Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, and I think today we'll do two videos, one for side A and side B.